Hello students, we are studying about assessment of firms. In the previous session, we already started solving problems on assessment of firms. In this session, let us solve two more problems relating to calculation of book profit and income of a firm. See this problem. A, B and C are partners in a firm with equal shares. The profit and loss account of the firm for the year ended 31st March 2020 is as under. Profit and loss account is given. See the credit side, gross profit 9,000 and on the debit side, interest on capital at the rate of 18%, A 8,000, B 7,000 and C 9,000. Salary of partners A, B, C 1,20,000 each. When you deduct these three partners' interest on capital and salary from gross profit, you get net loss of 1,25,000 each. That means net loss of 3,75,000 of the firm. Compute book profit and total income of the firm for the assessment year 2020-21. The firm fulfills the conditions of section 184. Section 184 is relating to assessment of firms and its rules. As per this problem, you have to calculate book profit and total income of the firm. In the previous session, we discussed about calculation of book profit, and before that we studied about the format of calculation of book profit and total income of the firm. As per that format, from the net profit you have to deduct disallowed items. Disallowed items means items which are not considered while calculating the book profit. If there is net profit, you have to add that thing because that disallowed items already reduced the amount of book profit. Now you are increasing the book profit. If there is any loss, you have to deduct from that net loss. Why? Because that already increased the net loss. Now you are reducing that loss by deducting these disallowed items. Disallowed items includes salary of partners, that is non-working partners, and interest on capital above 12%, etc. So here interest on capital 18% is there, but only 12% is allowed to calculate book profit. So remaining 6% is disallowed, that you have to deduct from net loss. Here see net loss, that is why you have to deduct that thing. Remember this much. If there is any net profit, you have to add disallowed items. If there is any net loss, you have to reduce the net loss, that is why deducting disallowed items. See, computation of total income of the firm for the assessment year 2020-21. First, you have to write net loss as per profit and loss account, that is 3,75,000, that is 1,25,000 each. From that, you have to deduct disallowed items. If there is any net profit, you have to add. Now there is loss, that is why you are deducting disallowed items. First one, salary, that is salary of non-working partners you have to deduct, that is disallowed. But here all partners are working partners. First you have to deduct that thing. Next, see, you have to add working partners remuneration, so to balance that difference. Here salary of partners 1,20,000 each, that amounts to rupees 3,60,000. Second one, interest on capital above 12%. Up to 12% is allowed, and above that, that is 6% is disallowed. So A 8,000 into 6 by 18, because up to 12 it is allowed, that amounts to rupees 2,667. Second one, B, 7,000 into 6 by 18, that is 2,333. And third one, C, 9,000 into 6 by 18, that amounts to rupees 3,000. So the total of interest on capital above 12% amounts to rupees 8,000. So the total of disallowed items amounts to rupees 3,68,000. That is 3,60,000 of salary and 8,000 of interest on capital. That amounts to 3,68,000. Here disallowed items less than net loss. That means a net loss is more than these expenses. So the net loss now amounts to rupees 7,000. To this 7,000, you have to add working partners remuneration. Least of the following you have to consider as we discussed in the previous session. So here book loss is there, working partners remuneration is again expense to the company, so you have to add that thing, that is allowable expenses. When there is a negative income, that is when there is loss, the statutory limit is 1,50,000, as we discussed in the previous problem. Go through that session, that is previous session. So here actual remuneration of working partners 3,60,000 or statutory limit 1,50,000, whichever is less you have to consider. Here 1,50,000 is less, that is why you are considering 1,50,000. So the total business loss now amounts to rupees 1,57,000. That is 7,000 of book loss and expenditure of 1,50,000. Total business loss amounts to rupees 1,57,000. This is in minus figure, that is loss. Okay. This is about calculation of book loss and business loss when net loss is given. This type of problem may ask in your exam. See the note. Total income of the firm is 1,57,000, that is in minus figure. That means business loss of rupees 1,57,000. Second one, in excess of 12% interest will be disallowed. That is 18% minus 12%, 6% is disallowed. In case of book loss, partners remuneration is allowed rupees 1,50,000 or actual remuneration, whichever is less, as we discussed. So this is the problem. Now let us solve one more problem in which let us deal with the net profit. See this problem. Mrs. Singh and Jain is a firm of chartered accountants in which Singh, Jain and Naren are working partners, sharing profits and losses in the ratio of 2:1. The firm showed a net surplus of 57,000 rupees for the year ended 31st March 2020. Following items are found debited in the income and expenditure account of the firm. See, Messrs. Singh and Jain is a chartered accountants firm, that is, this is income from profession, not business. That is why they are preparing income and expenditure account. Okay. Here three partners are there, Singh, Jain and Naren, and all three partners are working partners. See the information, that is expenditure of the firm for the year ended 31st March 2020 is given. That is salary to Jain 7,000, salary to Naren 9,800, commission to Singh 6,000, commission to Naren 4,800. These four items, that is salary and commission, in total we called as salary of working partners. Here first you have to add these things to the net profit, and then you have to deduct salary to working partners from the net profit. So first you have to add this thing to the net profit, so you can get the book profit. Then you have to deduct working partner's salary. Here all partners are working partners, that is why you have to deduct all 4 things. So you can get the business, that is professional income. Okay, next see interest on capital at 20%. Here interest on capital above 12% is disallowed. Here 20% interest on capital is given, so that 8% of interest on capital is disallowed. That is interest on capital paid to Singh 6,000 and Jain 4,000, and customs penalty paid 3,000. It is also one of the disallowed items. Next one, rent of 3,600 paid to Jain in respect of the house let out by him to the firm. This is allowed item, so no need to consider this thing. In this problem, you have to consider only disallowed items. Next, compute the total income of the firm for the assessment year 2020-21. The firm fulfills the conditions of section 184, that is relating to conditions of assessment of a firm. Let us solve this problem. Computation of total income of a firm for the assessment year 2020-21. First, you have to write net surplus or net profit as per book of account in the first row, that is in the last amount column you have to write 57,000. To that you have to add disallowed items, because these disallowed items reduced the profit of the firm. Now we are increasing the profit of the firm by adding back these things. So first one you have to write is salary to partners Jain and Naren 7,000 and 9,800 respectively. That becomes 16,800. Next, commission to partners 6,000 and 4,800, that amounts to 10,800. Next one, interest on capital above 12%, that is Singh 6,000 into 8 by 20, that is above 12%, that is 20% minus 12%, that is 8%, out of 20% is disallowed, that amounts to 2,400, and Jain 4,000 into 8 by 20, that amounts to rupees 1,600. So the total of interest on capital above 12% amounts to rupees 4,000. Next disallowed items is customs penalty 3,000. So the total of disallowed items amounts to rupees 34,600. When you add up this thing to net surplus, you get 91,600. This 91,600 is the book profit. No need to underline this 91,600. Okay, remove this underline. Book profit 91,600. From this you have to add working partners remuneration, because working partners remuneration is allowed items to calculate professional income. You already added that thing. Now we have to reduce that much of profit, because they are allowable. They are actual expenditure to the company. That is why you are deducting working partners remuneration again. Here all 3 partners are working partners. That is why what you added the first, now we have to deduct. That is actual remuneration, salary plus commission. The total of that 2 things, that is 16,800 and 10,800, amounts to rupees 27,600. Or when net surplus is given, as you learned already, on first 3 lakh 90% of book profit, and on remaining balance 60%. That is, see the note, specified limit of remuneration to working partners 90% of first 3 lakh. Here net profit book profit is below 3 lakh. So on book profit, that is 91,600, 90% of that amounts to rupees 82,440 or 1,50,000. 50,000, whichever is more you have to consider, that is 1,50,000. Here no excess of 3 lakhs, so no need to consider that 60% of remaining balance. So here out of these two, 1,50,000 is more, that is why you are considering 1,50,000. This is not the statutory limit, remember that point. So out of these two items, that is actual salary and 1,50,000, whichever is less you have to consider. First, when net profit is given, first you have to consider whichever is more, next you have to consider whichever is less. Here 27,600 is less. When you deduct this 27,600 from the book profit, you get professional income as 64,000. So the total income from profession amounts to rupees 64,000 and book profit of the firm amounts to rupees 91,600. This is the note relating to that. So these are the problems relating to calculation of book profit and total income. This type of problem may come for the exam. Go through these problems, very simple problems, only 2 to 3 items will be given to calculate book profit and total income. All problems are similar, so we can solve some more problems in the next session, so you can understand it better. Thank you. Let us meet in the next session.